Hey everyone, it's Rambling Hour with Lisa, Season 18, Episode 3. I know it's been over a month since I've been on. Some of you may know why, some of you might not. My belt is digging in. But I'm back, and hopefully I will be back for a while and not have to take time off like that again. So for those of you who don't know, on April 25th, my brother, who is 16 months younger than me, so I'm 46, he was 45, passed away in a motorcycle accident in the city that we're originally from, where my mom and sisters still live. He had rode his bike from where he lives, like a 6-hour drive, into the city, and he's ridden his bike for years, but he drove it to the city to drop off some stuff and to see my mom and visit one of his friends, and my mom had a really great weekend with him, and she even remembers, like, when he left, he gave her a big hug and told her to lock her doors, and she took a picture of him on his bike, and a few hours later, he was, sadly passed away. So that was shocking news, and then the first Sunday after that, when I was supposed to do my live, because that was on a Friday, the Sunday, I obviously didn't really feel like doing my live, but also at that time we hadn't posted about it yet either. So even if I had felt like doing my live, I didn't know how to do it without being able to talk about it. So then it was just a matter of like dealing with things. And then I went to Canada for a couple weeks, and I was going to do my live from there if it happened naturally, but it didn't. So, and then when I got back from Canada, I got sick, because you know how it is when you're going and trying to get things done and everything else, and then you finally have time to breathe and relax, and your body's like, oh, all right, let's get sick now. So I am feeling a lot better now, and I am back. So I kind of tried to make it an ode to Billy, my brother, William Lloyd John, or Bill, as he got older, he wanted to be called Bill, but he's always Billy to me. And the Metallica shirt. So Metallica was his favorite band. He saw them in concert a lot. He had a lot of their shirts, and his wife gave the sisters each one of his shirts for, so there wasn't a funeral, there was like memorials for him, one in Alberta and one in Saskatchewan. And everyone was just invited to wear their Metallica shirts or whatever rock shirt they had, or band shirt they had if they didn't have a Metallica shirt. So this was one of my brother's original t-shirts that I got from his wife, and I like that it says Manchester on the back, even though it's not Manchester, England, but you can tell that it was a loved one. It's well worn, and I think there's even there's holes in it in different places, but it is, well loved, just like my brother was. And so this is a jewelry box he made for me when he started woodworking. So it's not the most detailed design or anything, but he loved woodworking, and when he started, he made me and my mom jewelry boxes. Later in life, he could do way more intricate things, but it still matters because me and my mom were the first ones to get something. We got our jewelry boxes, so I thought I'd have it out here. This has come off. I need to fix the hinges, but this is years old, older than my kids. And in here to hang your necklaces and everything, I think it's older than my kids. Anyways, this is something I got from my mother-in-law years ago, and this I bought when I was in Canada. Oh, so okay, let me tell you the story about the cardinal, and then I'll explain. So I'll show you something I got from my mother-in-law again today. My mother-in-law, Trisha, Steve's mom, she brought me this today from her and Chris, and it's a robin, and it says, "Robins appear when angels are near." And she made the mistake when she handed it to me. She said, I got you this. I thought of you when I saw this, or whatever, for your dad, because of your dad. And then she corrected herself and said brother. But the thing is, it's a robin. Robins remind me of my dad, so I don't think it was a mistake that she said that. So before my brother died, actually the day before my brother died, I was listening to this book, and I have it here in my pile of books. It's called Enchanting Winds. Let me do the So Enchanting Winds, book 1 in the novel series, The Other Side of Love by Mary Hayes. Sometimes the winds of change lead us to the most enchanting places. Maddie Stewart is living a good life. She has a fulfilling big city career, a loyal and fun-loving best friend, and a devoted feline companion. But when she hears a voice on the wind beckoning her to Cape Cod, Maddie wonders if there's even more to life than she had ever imagined. Unable to shake the yearning in her heart, Maddie suspends her usual pragmatic perspective and follows the ways and whims of inspiration to the charming town of Port St. Smith. There she quickly becomes intertwined with several of the town's welcoming residents, who are each coming to terms with the unexpected death of a dear friend. In addition to their sadness, denial, and anger, they begin receiving messages from him through extraordinary signs and startling direct communications. Maddie also starts to receive intriguing signs and messages, realizing the voice that called her to the Cape is a very real and captivating presence. But who is he? Why is he so drawn to her, and why does she have such a strong desire to know him even more? Enchanting Winds is a wise and warm read that dispels many of the myths and misunderstandings about death, everlasting love, and the other side. There's this man who's I think he's in his 30s, who passes away, and he has a neighbor who's in her 80s, and she already lost her husband years ago, and a cardinal keeps appearing in her garden, and she believes that's a sign from her husband that, you know, he's okay and everything. And this neighbor that's in his 30s, she becomes really good friends with him, and they have this special bond. And then he passes away suddenly, so a young age passes away, and like the book said, the town has a hard time coming to terms with this because it was sudden, it was unexpected, he was young, and it was just... So then there happens to be 2 cardinals that show up. So she believes the other one is from her friend, the main guy in the story who has passed away. So I was thinking to myself, because, you know, I believe in all that kind of stuff. I'm like, well, that's cool, but like a cardinal would never be a sign for me because I live in the UK now and we don't have cardinals here. Anyways, this was the day before my brother died because, so time-wise, my brother visited my mom on Thursday, the 24th. And then after she had a visit with him that day, she called me. It was still like early afternoon for her, but it was like evening for me. So actually it was about 6 o'clock here. So it was about 11 in the morning there. So she'd already seen him that morning. Anyways, she called me, maybe it was later than that, 7 or 8. So she called me, she said she had a great visit with him and everything else that Thursday. And I was like, oh, okay. And I had listened to almost this whole book on an app called Speechify, which I'll explain later. And the only reason I didn't finish this book was because my headphones died. So I talked to my mom that day. I remember exactly what I was doing outside, cleaning, and everything was fine. Like I said, it was evening for me. So the day went on, I went to sleep, and my mom called me the next day. Auntie Diane says hello. Hi, Auntie Diane. My mom called me the next day, which was about 11. Okay, so 5, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, I think it was like that. So I think it was like, wait, did I just do my maths correctly? So if it was 5 in the morning for her, it was 10, 11, 12 for us. Yeah, so it was about noon the next day that my mom called me. Noon the time here, and she said, oh, are you guys still in bed? And I said, maybe. Like, and Steve knew the fact that it was 5 in the morning for her, that this call was like something important. I didn't even do the calculations in my head, even thinking that it was 5 in the morning for her. But that's when my mom said that, you know, she's sorry to tell me, but last night Billy was killed in a motorcycle accident. And that was really hard to hear, but I mean, obviously that's my mom, but it's the mother of the person who died too. So for his mom, our mom, and for his wife and his daughters, that's who I felt the worst for. I mean, we all lost him, but getting back to the cardinal. So, like I said, crying for days, never, I've had a lot of like death in our lives because we have a big family, so we're used to weddings and funerals and all that stuff, but this one was a really hard one because he was such an amazing person, and he was young, and it was unexpected, and it was just, the more you love, the more it hurts. And he was loved so much. Like, he was just such an amazing person in so many ways that I didn't know a life without him, really, right? Like, I'm 16 months older than him. So, you know, he was my best friend and my worst enemy from the beginning. And I want to live till I'm 80 or 100, as I tell you guys all the time. And if I get to live until I'm like 80 or 100, if I'm lucky enough to, it's just going to be a long time without his physical presence. I know he's with me spiritually, but it's, you know, I know it's different. So thank you, Pat. Pat Bastardi says, sorry for your loss, R.I.P. So anyways, the Cardinals. So I go to Edmonton for the memorials and everything else. And then my friend, one of my best friends, Trish, she gave me a gift. And what are the chances? She looked for a turtle because she knows I love turtles and they're one of my spirit animals. But she couldn't find a turtle. So she wanted to get a journal for me because she knew I like journaling. And actually, I think it was her husband's suggestion too. Which is sweet that he thought of the fact that I love journaling. But she got me this one with a cardinal on it. So what are the chances? This is like, I have nothing with cardinals, really. So what are the chances this is what she gives me at my brother's memorial? You know what I mean? And then the book, like Enchanting Winds, and and I think, if I'm not mistaken, I have to read the last chapter or somewhere. I think that the lady who they talk about on the back of the book, she was looking in a shop for different things to bring back to the city for her friend and stuff, like little trinkets and things. And she saw a journal with a cardinal on it, and she thought about getting it, but she still wasn't finished writing in the journal she had, so she like didn't. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, the neighbor lady bought it for her, but I think it had a journal with a cardinal on it, so it's even more like one of those signs. So that is why I bought this for myself, and it says, thinking of you on the bottom. Okay, I need to do this without the glare, and anyways, I bought this when I was in Edmonton for my brother. So that's the jewelry box, the cardinal. This weirdo over here is Erica's, the 16-year-old. When she was finishing her last year in high school art, her theme was grotesque. So she did a bunch of different like sketches and different things for her grotesque theme, but this was her final project. And I can't remember if I showed you guys this or not. It even is made like on pliers that she had to hold it, but then it became part of it. But I just thought that I would have this here because I tried to like I said, do a little bit of a Billy theme, and he liked, you know, heavy metal and dark stuff. So I'll show you guys a picture of him. His wife is a photographer, and she took this awesome picture of him. I don't want the glare of the light on it, though. Give me a second. No? Okay, are there? Yeah? I want to be in it, too, Billy. Nope. Okay, how am I going to do this? There. No? There? Okay, anyways, that's my brother. That is the guy, the happy, Metallica loving guy that's going to be missed dearly. And with his woodwork, this is one of my favorite things that he did. He used lots of different types of wood, and if you know anything about woodwork and wood can be really expensive, especially different kinds of wood. So when he built a lot of different things that he made, he would have all the offcuts, and he would make these little different shapes and stuff into keychains. So his wife has a box of these. Last summer when we went camping, we actually got to choose one. You know, he sold them for other people, but he let us each choose one, even the nieces and nephews. And these are just some extra ones that I grabbed when I was there in Canada. But I just thought, what a great idea to have these little things that are just, would have been scraps of wood, but because the wood's so expensive, it's a way to, you know, make money back to support his business. But I love it because each one is like a different, you see something different, and it's different for you. Another one that I have, I don't have it out here because I just grabbed these ones, but I have the one I chose last summer is more of like a worry stone. It has this groove in it that I like can rub like a worry stone that I love. And yeah, that's what these are. here. So Billy, what is life going to be like without him? I don't know. But I know he's with our dad, and now it's just us girls. Billy had 4 sisters, 3 biological and 1 that we have adopted into our family. Not legally adopted, but basically in our family. So he has 4 sisters, and then when he married his wife, Tara, who he's been best friends with since he was 14, when he married her, he got 4 sister-in-laws. So he was one of the only men in the family, and it's, yeah, like I said, my dad's gone, now my brother's gone, and it's just, it is what it is. I talk to you guys about death all the time. We never know when any of us are going to go, and it's, you know, it's just super important to appreciate each other and you know, not just talk about death, but really love each other and appreciate each other while we're here. I had some amazing hugs at my brother's memorial from friends and family, and some of those hugs I will never forget. You know, we both needed them. But yeah, I embraced I stood by the door for the one in Edmonton so that people wouldn't feel awkward coming in, so they would know kind of where their people would be in the thing. And so I was like the welcoming committee and giving hugs to everyone. And like I said, like some of those hugs I will cherish like forever. And that's the thing, is actually, since I've been back, even being sick or getting a headache or, you know, like my legs hurting, anything, I just think this is the physical thing. This is what we came to Earth School for. We're having a physical experience. That's the one thing you can't get when you transition to the afterlife, is you're a spiritual being, then you don't get the physical. So we come here to experience it. So yeah, there is no pain like that, like physical pain and everything else in the afterlife, but I want to be here for a long time. So I'm going to embrace those headaches and all those aches and things that come with being human and experiencing this life. Let's see, what else do I have to tell you guys or show you guys? Grabbing my drink. And then I'll talk to you guys about Speechify. So there's this misleading app called Speechify. It's misleading because they take a book and they take a phone, say this is my phone, and on the commercials they put the phone on the book, and then it looks like it starts reading the book. Very misleading. But what you can do is, if you already have it in PDF form, you can import it into the app. Or if you have a book like this, you know how I have already told you guys that I use this, actually my light, I bend it down looking at the table. I hold the book like this. I have a remote for taking pictures with my phone. And so I just turn the page, take a picture, turn the page, take a picture, turn the page, take a picture, turn the page. So I take pictures of all my books so I can read them. Then that way the book stays nice and neat and clean. I can do other things while I'm listening to the book. But this app called Speechify, you can take the pictures that I take. And, Pat says, thanks for sharing. You're welcome. I'll probably keep sharing about him in future episodes too, because that's how we keep our loved ones alive. And there's so many memories. I couldn't think of like some funny stories or things to say at the memorial besides the eulogy, but I know there's going to be lots of things that I come up with over the future years. But so Speechify, and all these pictures that I take of the books, I can import them and listen to the book instead of, like I said, then I can do other things at the same time. So I want to show you guys something. Sorry if my butt's just in the way. I'm going to add this one. Okay, this is just like in the last like month and a half or maybe 2 months. Pat says absolutely. Okay, hang on. So this is just, this is, yeah. Do you see what I'm saying? Do you know how much time it would take me? I would never get off the couch. I would love to be able to just sit and lounge and read, but I would fall asleep most of the time reading because I'd be too relaxed, and I wouldn't be able to get through books like this. So some books you want to, actually, I have to be honest. This one here, it's called, I'm going to do all these too. The Country Diary of an Edwardian Lady. I'm reading it on my phone by looking at it. I'm not not letting the app read it. But it's got poetry and journaling and sketches that she did. Edith Holden. It's from 1906, I think. And it's because I was reading, because I read this book, this one, The Diary of a Modern Country Gardener. And she, oh, I don't want a reflection on that. And she references this one, so I bought that one. So that's two that I've, and then I told you guys about Enchanting Winds. And then this is a map of Memory Lane. I actually have this on my phone. I haven't read it or listened to it yet. It's not very long. It's just a kid's book about... children are naturally curious. Sometimes they have big questions. Will you live forever? Lee asked, tracing a fingertip over the lines of Nana's familiar face. Map of Memory Lane invites even the youngest of readers to explore the inevitability of loss, while focusing on the lasting connections and memories we cherish. To receive your companion activity book, The Map of Memory Lane, with tips for supporting children, visit FrancescaLynnArnoldi.com. So that's what that is. I haven't read it yet, but I like stuff like that, even for... okay, so let me start from the bottom. So, Find Your Soul Path. Discover the magical life within. Emma Griffin. I'll just get those out of the way. And that one I'm done. This one is the one I'm listening to right now. Same author. It's called The Witch's Way Home. And 30 Years Among the Dead. This is a thick one, and I'm so glad that I got to listen to this instead of reading it, because it's case studies, and it's really interesting. It's, again, it's from 1918 to 1921 or something, and I told people about this when I was in Canada. So, White Crow Books. The search for truth and meaning is what makes us human. Thankfully, we are not alone in this quest. Many have gone before us, asked the same questions we do, and discovered some remarkable answers. White Crow Books is proud to publish works by such people, pioneering thinkers down the years. Here, philosophers, novelists, visionaries, dreamers, psychologists, scientists, and poets speak again. Old, yet always new. Such figures may have been neglected by the popular press of their time, but truth spills generously across the centuries, finding a fresh audience with each generation of seekers, and to seek is to find. So Carl Wickland, MD, is who the book is from, and it says, after immigrating to the USA in 1881, Carl Wickland settled in St. Paul, Minnesota. In 1896, he married Anna Anderson, and they moved to Chicago so that Wickland could study medicine at Durham Medical College. He graduated in 1900, and in 1909 became the chief psychiatrist at the National Psychopathic Institute of Chicago. In 1918, the Wicklands moved to Los Angeles and founded the National Psychological Institute, a non-profit corporation for psychological research. It doesn't really tell what this book is about. Let's see. I know what it's about, so I can tell you. So he's a doctor, and his wife is actually a medium, and in his downtime, I guess, she lets people who are deceased use her body to channel through. And yes, there is lots of charlatans. There still is people who take advantage of the stuff. And there's lots of you guys who might not even believe in the spirit world and communication with the dead and everything else. But what I like about this is some of the stories are not boring because they're all interesting, but some of them are so generic that if you were making stuff up, you would have made it a little more interesting. It's case study after case study after case study that he helps these people. It's kind of like how I've told you about Jackie, Steve's partner for Feathers, how they do rescue mediumship. So spirits who haven't crossed over, especially in the 1918 to 1921, there would be a lot more, if you were raised like Christian or Catholic and you thought there was a hell, then you might be less inclined to cross over into the light into the spirit world if you thought that something bad was going to happen to you or whatever. So he lets his wife as a medium, or she lets spirits come into her body, and then he talks to them. And there is some funny things in there just because of the time, the way that they speak. So he'll say, so the spirit will say, you know, don't hold my hand. A man should not hold another man's hand. And then the doctor says, I'm not holding your hand. I'm holding my wife's hand. Look down. Is that your hands? And the spirit would look at them and say, no, those are the hands of a woman. Those aren't my hands. And why am I wearing women's clothes? You know, or like, so he has to convince them that they've actually passed away and that isn't their body. They're just using the body temporarily, and that they, you know, they have passed, and that there'll be loved ones there if they see the light to go through to find their loved ones. And it's just case study after case study. And actually it's really, really interesting. And I don't know, like I said, I know when the case studies were, but I wonder when the first edition of this was published. Let's see if it says copyright 2011. No, it doesn't say when. I mean, maybe that's when they first were, but like I said, these case studies, who knows how long they just sat somewhere, you know, with all this information. But yeah, I think this is a really good one. But like I said, because it's so thick, and I'm just glad that I could listen to it while I'm doing other things. Melody said, sorry, NHL playoffs are on. I will check this out later. Oh, I totally understand if my Canadian people aren't watching my live while it's live, because if the playoffs are on, absolutely, I absolutely understand. Me and Steve know if he's watching, like if Man City's playing, that's what we said. We went out for lunch today with his parents, like his mom and stepdad, and his stepdad's best friend Nigel from Scotland, and Owen and Bobby and Amy and Jay. No, James wasn't there. And to do me, yeah. Anyways, we went out for lunch, but we knew that at 4 o'clock the game was on. So when we got home, I said, okay, well, I guess we'll go to our first loves now. So me go out in the garden and him watch football. So I totally get it. But yes, people can catch up on this later. I'm just going to be rambling anyways, because that's what I do. And I think, yeah, I'm at like almost 28 minutes. So I still got a lot to ramble. All right, let's get on with what other books I've read. So The Spirit of Harriet Tubman by Spring Washam. Did I do the like smile with this one? Okay, and then this is a good one. It's the reason it's called The Spirit of Harriet Tubman by Spring Washam is Awakening from the Underground is because, again, if you don't believe in this stuff, then you'll just think it's all hooey. But the person who wrote this book believes that she was channeling or communicating with Harriet Tubman, and this was stuff, messages from her. Not only that, though, it's full of stuff about Harriet Tubman. So even if you don't believe that part, you still get a really, really good educational, thing about Harriet Tubman. And it's not very, very big, so it's definitely doable. I enjoyed that. This one is a little bit more American, but it's still good to know what to do in these hard times, especially because you never know what's going to happen in your own neck of the woods. You know, we could all be a moment away from war or just repression and all these things. But it's a girl's guide to, it's based on the Girl's Guide to, The Girl's Guide to Being a Lady. That's what, instead of A Girl's Guide to Being a Lady, it's like written over Joining the Resistance. So A Girl's Guide to Joining the Resistance, a feminist handbook on fighting for good by Emma Gray, executive women's editor at HuffPost Illustrated. So if not you, then who? If not now, then when? We need more women to speak up and make their voices heard. We need you in this fight. Quote by Senator Elizabeth Warren. Young women deserve to make decisions that are best for us, and there's no better time than now to get involved. Otherwise, the healthcare we need to have safe and healthy families, the communities we deserve where children will grow up to become adults and be free of violence will never materialize. Alicia Garza, co-founder of Black Lives Matter Network and Special Projects Director at the National Domestic Workers Alliance. Women are the ones who are the driving forces in many of the issues that we care about. Women are at the forefront. They've always been at the forefront. Carmen Perez, Women's March National Co-Chair. Young people will be the ones who write the history books of tomorrow. And elected officials, business leaders, and everyday public, they know that. Sarah McBride, National Press Secretary for the Human Rights Campaign and LGBTQ activist. So that is a good one. You can see that my reading is varied. This one is one that my little sister Tina bought me last summer, and it's written by a Canadian author, but not just Canadian, Albertan, so the province that I'm from. And she bought it for me, and gave it to me the last summer, and I didn't have a chance to read it, but I thought with me having to go back to Canada and Edmonton and stuff, that it would be a good time to listen to it. So I did. It's called Bad Cree by Jessica Johns. And it says, with creeps that are ever creepy and love flowing like beer at a bush party, Bad Cree is a book about the power of dreams, home, and family. This book is tough askew. Tough Iskwew, I don't know how to say that, ISKWEW, Iskwew, in flannel shirts with long unbrushed hair, just looking good. It's tea rings on formica tables, cigarette smoke wafting through windows, and an eerie magical realism that belongs only to the bush, full of anti-power. Anti, like as in female, like aunties. That was a quote by Katharina Vermetti, author of The Strangers. Bad Cree deftly explores the permeable boundaries of dreams, reality, and culture, as well as complex family dynamics and relationships. A compelling novel that is a mystery and a horror story about grief, but one with defiant hope in its beating heart, by Paul Tremblay, author of The Pallbearers Club. A captivating tale of love, loss, the violence of greed, and the healing power of family. Johns delivers a suspenseful and thought-provoking page-turner you won't want to put down. Michelle Good, author of The Five Little Indians. Both tactile and dreamy, terrifying and beautiful, Bad Cree will wrap you up and pull you along for the journey. Once it starts, there's no backing out, no pause, no stall. Cherry Dimmeline, author of RHwL, and reading this book is like getting lost inside a cloud. I suggest reading this alongside a friend or a sibling or an auntie. It's a surreal, dreamy, unraveling delight you'll want to hug about. T. Mutanji, author of Shut Up, You're Pretty. So it is really good, and the ending I didn't see coming at all. Like it is one of those, like they said, it brings you along. You just want to keep going with it and see what happens. And I'm really proud, even more proud, that it's like an Albertan, a Canadian who wrote it. It's really well done. Definitely suggested. It's won awards in Canada. On the front, it even says the 2023 Amazon Canada co-presented with the Walrus First Novel Award shortlist and 2024 selection for cbcbooks.ca Canada Reads. So, yeah, that was a good one. And then what? Oh, Monty Don. So Monty Don is a gardener here. He's on the BBC and on Gardener's World and stuff. So this is a book by him and his wife, Sarah Don. So Monty and Sarah Don. And of course it is Monty, short for Montague. I didn't even think about it until I was listening to this book. This is called the Jewel Garden. It's one of the gardens that they have on their property called the Jewel, Jewel Garden, a story of despair and redemption. Truly inspiring, told with compelling honesty. The reason it's called the Jewel Garden is because they used to sell jewelry. So they decided to have a jewel garden based on the colors of the jewelry and things that inspired them that way. Overwhelmingly honest, passionate, inspiring, with prose to die for. A meditation on family and love. Julie Meyerson, Independent on Sunday, wrote that. This is the story of a garden that has risen from the ashes of a catastrophic failure. In the mid-'80s, Monty and Sarah Dawn's jewelry design business was the toast of fashionable London. But like so many entrepreneurs during those heady days, they had overreached themselves and were heading for a fall. Soon, they were plunging in a vortex of debt and depression. They lost everything. Monty and Sarah recall this traumatic period with unstinting honesty. They also tell the magical story of their jewel garden, a part of their Herefordshire plot that is planted with particularly colorful flowers and draws on their years in the fashion business. The jewel garden is Monty and Sarah's means of making peace with their messy past and a bold expression of their shared passion for life. It's good. It's not very big, but I like it. And the thing is, Monty Don, like, he hasn't, it's never been a secret that he suffers from depression. But the cool thing is that, like I said, he's a TV presenter. Everybody loves him. We see so much of what he does and everything. But when you read something like this and you know that he struggles with those down days, that, people who go through periods of depression or suffer with it like me their whole life, the down days where you don't want to get out of bed and you just, nothing is enough, not even your beautiful garden or your family or anything. It's interesting. You look at other people and you think they have it all together and that, like, nothing could go wrong. And the truth is that we're all human. Like, no matter how much money we have, no matter how much love and family we have, no matter what the good things are in our lives, we all have bad things too. And it takes all of us together to get through it. So I really enjoyed that. And I love Monty Don anyways, but that was really interesting to see that rawness in him and that connection that I have with him, even if I don't know him. And that it just shows you that even though you have down days, you can make the not down days amazing. You can still have an amazing life. So I'll show you that one last. Answers about the afterlife. A private investigator's 15-year research unlocks the mysteries of life after death. Bob Olson, host of Afterlife TV. So he was a private investigator, and I think it was after his dad died. He didn't really believe in the afterlife or any of that stuff, but after his dad died, he wanted to see what all the fuss was about and what if there was truth to it and everything else. So this is based on a private investigator's type of research. So a lot of factual and even scientific, some of it, and practical, you know what I mean? Like, he's not just saying all this woo-woo stuff is real. He's giving you references and examples and places that you can go and answering from his own opinion, his own experience, but also from the research he's done and what he has found to be the most widely accepted truth or proven truth. So let's see how they describe it on the back. Okay, let me do this. I like doing that with the books that I'm talking about on here, but also ones that I've read, because then I have a reference that I've already read them. Discover the comfort, joy, and inner peace that answers about the afterlife can provide. Unlock the mysteries of life after death and explore the enlightening discoveries of a private investigator's 15-year investigation. This book is a comprehensive resource answering 150 of the most crucial questions about what happens when we die. Now you can delve into the life-changing insights we learn from near-death experiences, after-death communication, spirit contact through mediums, past lives, past life memories, past life and life between lives regressions, out-of-body experiences, soul pre-birth planning, deathbed visions, dream visitations, shared death experiences, and so much more. A few of the questions answered in this book. What determines how and when we die? What signals might my loved one in spirit be trying to send me? If there is an afterlife, does that mean there's a hell? What is the purpose of life from the soul's perspective? Can my loved ones in spirit see me in my day-to-day life? What happens to the soul after miscarriage, stillbirth, or abortion? What do spirits do in the spirit world? What's the difference between a spirit, a ghost, and an angel? What happens in the afterlife to people who take their own life, in brackets, suicide? What is it like in the spirit world? Do we have to reincarnate, or do we have a choice? If we chart our lives before birth, how much of our life is destined to occur? When does our spirit leave our body at death? Why do some people have a near-death experience and others do not? Bob Olson is a former skeptic and private investigator who began investigating evidence of life after death after the passing of his father. This event ignited questions in Bob that he never before considered. So he decided to use his skills as a private eye to investigate the afterlife. Bob's expertise in this field led him to create bestpsychicmediums.com, bestpsychicdirectory.com, and afterlifetv.com. He also has a course for mediums at psychicmediumworkshop.com. Really good. The way this book is, like, he suggests that you read it in order because then later on he answers things that'll make more sense because he tried to put it in a good linear order. But at the same time, especially if it's the second time, you can go straight to the question that you have. There's the table of contents, right, for every question. And you can go straight to that if you want to know what his take is on that. And yeah, I really enjoyed this one too. And I thought about like taking all those questions that he has and then writing what I think from my experience and what I've learned. I don't know it all either. And if you ever question any of this stuff, just honestly go within yourself. It's called meditation. You can call it prayer, whatever, quiet time. And the answers will be within you because it will be your gut, your guide, your higher self, and your spirit team. Like you have all the answers to all of it inside of you because you're connected, just like the rest of us are connected to the universe, the one, all source, God, whatever you want to call it. We're all connected to the collective consciousness, whatever you want to call it. We're all connected to it. And if you ever question anything with religion or spiritual or your own beliefs, just you can ask professionals and everything else, but we're all humans. So we're all going to have different takes on things and different beliefs. But anything you ever question, go inside and always trust your gut because it will not steer you wrong. So that one. And this one I want to show you now. I just listened to this yesterday. Yes, one book in one day. And it's called, okay, so Tina, my little sister, said about my brother passing, you know, like it feels like, okay, the joke's over now. Haha, funny, come back, right? And then I saw that I already had this, like sometimes I can't always buy all these books, but I'll take a screenshot on my phone of books that I want to buy. And I was looking through them because I'm trying to get things off my phone, trying to make more room so I can take pictures of more books. And then anyways, I was looking through and this is one that I had on my list to buy. And so I did now and I've listened to it. And I want to send a copy to a few people, but it's called The Joke's Over, You Can Come Back Now, which I thought was relevant to what my little sister Tina said, and maybe this is a book that I needed to read right now. It's by Laurie Burroughs Grad, forward by Blythe Danner, and it's how this widow plowed through grief and survived. A journal, a journey, a guidebook, and most of all, a love story. Laurie's book is a brave, compassionate, practical, inspiring, and cry out loud funny. David Hyde Pierce. Laurie Burroughs Grad and Peter Grad were married for 47 amazing years. The two were inseparable, spending every moment they could together. Peter died suddenly while they were on vacation and Laurie's world crashed around her. In the aftermath of Peter's death, Laurie discovered she hadn't just lost a beloved husband, she'd also lost her social status. People simply didn't know what to do or say about her newfound widowhood. She was literally demoted to lunch instead of going to dinners. She used to go to dinners, you know, as couples and everything else, and it just seemed like the best she could do with friends and stuff after her husband passed was going to lunch with them because people didn't know how to, you know, to deal with it. This is the story of how Laurie plowed through heart-wrenching grief. Laurie candidly and openly shares her experiences using a combination of engaging honesty and humor. Yes, you can laugh and still get through grief. Laurie guides you through the process of grieving, offering practical tips for how to adjust to your new life. Losing a spouse is hard, there's no question, but you can move forward. This book is a forthright guide for dealing with life alone after years of togetherness. Grief need not be a forbidden topic, nor does the loss of a spouse have to bring your enjoyment of life to an end. Trust Laurie, you can handle this. So it says, After losing Peter, her husband, of 47 years, Laurie Burroughs Grad began blogging on grief, widowhood, and survival. She has published over 100 blogs about grief and a regular contributor to the Huffington Post and Thrive Global. Grad is a cookbook author by profession and the editor-in-chief of a top-ranking food site, www.RHwL epicurus.com. She also serves on the board of RHwL, a Los Angeles grief center. But what I was going to say is, it's a good book for, it doesn't say this on here, but it's a good book not only for widows, but people who have lost someone close to them, like, can get a lot from this too. What to do after someone passes, how to get through even the first few days, the first few months. And then she writes like the first couple of years. So there's, I think, about 2 years worth of what she did to get through it and what she's found. She read so many books on grief and everything else. And she tried to make this based on books that she read, but also the things that she needed that she couldn't find in the books that she did read. So it says, we've known and admired Lori and Peter for many years. We plan on living forever and therefore never leaving one another. So this book is not relevant to us. But if you are dealing with the grief of a spouse, we cannot recommend Lori's thoughtful and humorous book enough. That's Seth Rogen, the actor, and Lauren Miller Rogen, so his wife. This book is a must-read. It is a perfect survival guide in how to deal with loss after a long, beautiful relationship. My dream is to have a marriage as special and strong as theirs, but also to learn from Lori's grace and strength in dealing with such a shocking loss. Peter and Lori are the definition of soulmates. That's Kaylee Kuko, from Big Bang Theory. Lori and Peter. Peter and Lori, inseparable. We know because we watched this love fest for decades. Could she overcome the loss of her life mate? This is her brave journey. Connie Chung and Maury Povich. So that's the one I just read yesterday. And then I told you guys, like, right now I'm listening to, wherever it is, The Witch's Way Home. And so I don't remember if I did this. Sorry guys, I need to do these. And then, so, hang on. I got a little bit here. What I want to show you. Let's skip the books for 1 second, and I want to show you something that my friend Zena got me while I was in Canada. She saw this and thought of me. So what does it say? Let me pour you a tall glass of Get Over It. Oh, and here's a straw so you can suck it up. It's nice that she thought of me when she saw that. So I wanted to show you guys that. So I love how, like, I have books that I want to read, and then certain ones will bounce in front of them. So this is one that I just ordered because it was in the ones that I wanted to eventually buy, and I want to read this one next as well. So it's What to Do When I'm Gone, a mother's wisdom to her daughter. Susie Hopkins and Hallie Bateman. A mother's advice to her daughter, a guide to daily living, both practical and sublime, with full color illustrations throughout. Taking something as monumental as grief and loss and making it handleable, even for a small bit of time, is no small achievement. And this book achieves just that with humor and honesty and recipes, all critical for persevering. Oh yeah, there's recipes in the other one too. The Joke's Over, because she does cookbooks and stuff, like or cooking, whatever. She has recipes in there as well. So that was a quote by Mara Kalman. Beautiful, heart-wrenching, funny. I'll keep this book close till the day I need it and pass it to my son for the day he will. Ali Sheedy. Brimming with beautiful illustrations and hilarious, touching prose, this book is perfect for every mother and daughter and anyone who will someday lose someone they love, which is to say, everyone. Wendy McNaughton. So that's the thing. What would your book say if you were to write a book? If you, whether you have children or not, nieces, nephews, the next generation, we don't know when we're going to go. But if you had to go, if you knew that you weren't going to live forever, unfortunately, what are the things that you would want people to know or learn or remember if you did have kids or do have kids and you don't get to be with them for the rest of their lives while they're growing or when they become adults or, even your grandkids? What are the lessons, like what are the things that you know what I mean? Not just what to do when I'm gone, but a mother's wisdom to her daughter. Like what wisdom and lessons and life things and stuff would you want to pass down? So that could be one of your questions when we do those questions that I need to remember to catch up on. Okay, this one's Ask Baba Yaga, Otherworldly Advice for Everyday Troubles. And there's another one that's coming in the post too. It's just a small one that I want to read. I did the okay. And then this one, The Sociopath Next Door. 1 in 25 ordinary people is secretly a sociopath. Who is the devil you know? Not all sociopaths become serial killers or anything like that. A lot of sociopaths are really good CEOs, doctors, things that are focused, and they like to make it to the top of whatever they do, right? Like, so well, let's see what it says on the back. I'll just, a chilling portrait of consciousness, conscienceless individuals. Conscienceless individuals. Because you don't have empathy if you're a sociopath. Call to Arms, Boston Herald. Who is the devil you know? Is it your lying, cheating ex-husband, your sadistic school PE teacher, the boss who loves to humiliate you, the colleague who stole your idea and passed it off as her own? Your ex wasn't just misunderstood. He's a sociopath. And your boss, teacher, and colleague, they might be sociopaths too. We think of sociopaths as violent criminals, but in The Sociopath Next Door, former Harvard psychologist Martha Stout reveals that a shocking 4% of the population, that's 1 in 25, has a mental disorder whose chief symptom is a lack of conscience. He or she has no ability whatsoever to feel shame, guilt, or remorse. 1 in 25 everyday people is secretly a sociopath, and they can do literally anything at all and feel absolutely no guilt. How do we recognize the remorseless? They are more charismatic, more spontaneous, more intense, more complex, even sexier than everyone else. And they leave us easily seduced. You may recognize the behavior of just such a person from the astonishing case studies in this book. But what can you do to protect yourself? In The Sociopath Next Door, Dr. Stout will show you how to arm yourself against the threat, to question their authority, suspect their flattery, and above all, when a sociopath is beckoning, not to join in their game. So I'm looking forward to that one. Again, not all my books are about death. And ghosts. But this one is A History of Ghosts, the true story of seances, mediums, ghosts, and ghostbusters by Peter H. Ackroyd. Why? Because that is Dan Aykroyd's dad with Angela Narth. Forwarded by Dan Aykroyd. Dan Aykroyd's dad was into all this kind of stuff. That's where Ghostbusters came about. And I will read this forward on the back from Dan Aykroyd. I bought this actually for Steve. It's an old, you can see like a library book. Like it was, there's not lots and lots of copies of it. But did I do I'm sorry, I think I did this, but maybe I shouldn't smile for a Sociopath Next Door book. And this one. So I'm looking forward to reading this one. My father, as a child, witnessed seances and kept the family books on the subject. My brother, Peter, and I read them avidly. And from all this, Ghostbusters got made. My daughters are now up on the subject, and one of them, we have found, seems to affect photographs. Globs of light and other shapes attend her when pictures are taken in and around the old family farmhouse. The children will have to make their own decisions about the verity and value of psychic studies. Their grandfather's book, A History of Ghosts, will surely assist them. It is as objective as any serious seeker of the truth about alleged paranormal activities could wish. Both believers and non-believers will, first, be highly entertained and then surprisingly enlightened by these stories of real... Why do they keep putting words that I can't pronounce? I don't even know what this word means. Empiricists, like emperor. So these stories of real empiricists chasing ghosts. Okay, so I need to keep these separate because I need to do that pictures of those still. And then The Way of the Tortoise. I've had this book for a few years and I wanted to read it, but there's too many books, not enough time. Now with Speechify, I'm not getting paid to talk about it, but I love it. I'm getting through so many books and I'm so excited about it. So The Way of the Tortoise. I really recommend this, a top read, Ben Ryan. Why You Have to Take the Slow Lane to Get Ahead by Matt Little. If you guys remember a few years ago, I had a book called, it was a journaling book called, oh gosh, it wasn't The Way of the Tortoise. What was it called? My brain's just stopped, but it had to do with journaling and the tortoise. And anyways, I really, really, really liked that journal. And we know that I love turtles and tortoises. And that's one of my nicknames from my grandma, my mom's mom, because sometimes I just diddle daddle and slow getting things done because I was off in space. And yeah, so she used to call me Turtle. So, oh, The Way of the Tortoise. No, that's what this is called, The Way of the Tortoise. What was the journal called? Oh gosh. The journal, it's green. I can see it in my head. Anyways, I'll put it in the comments, but unfortunately, lives don't live on Facebook forever now, so anything I put in the comments won't last, but I'll try to remember. I'll try to talk about it next week. Okay, so Praise for The Way of the Tortoise. I really recommend this. It's a cracker, a top read, and a great tool to use to improve and enlighten. It doesn't matter who you are, you will all get something out of this. Lovely stuff. Ben Ryan, Olympic gold medal winning coach and author of Seven's Heaven, The Beautiful Chaos of Fiji's Olympic Dream. I urge anyone who has the ambition and passion to develop themselves and those around them to read this book. I've worked with Matt for over 15 years and have seen firsthand how he is able to get the best out of people with his unique awareness of soft skills, human values, and long-term vision. Leon Smith, Great Britain Davis Cup team captain. This book brilliantly underlines the core principles needed to prepare for the next stage of your career. It captures many aspects which are pivotal to building a strong mindset for potential short-term and long-term challenges. Terrific read. Ross Hutchins, former British tennis player and Commonwealth Games silver medal winner. Oh, The Way of the Tortoise. What was it called? Yeah, no, it's not. Okay, and then now this one. This one is also Steve's that I bought for him, but I do want to read it or listen to it as well. It's called The Artist's Way, A Spiritual Path to Higher Creativity by Julia Cameron, the classic course in discovering and recovering your creative self. So a lot of people will have heard of this book. I hadn't really, but it says the multi-million copy worldwide bestseller. So it is a very popular book. So I'll have to give you reviews on these ones. Oh, why did it give me a thumbs down? Don't say that. Okay, so a revolutionary program for personal renewal. The Artist's Way will help you rediscover your passions and take the steps you need to change your life. Julia Cameron invented the way people renovate the creative soul. That's from the New York Times. 3 times in the last decade, I've committed to doing the Artist's Way program, and each time I've learned something important and surprising about myself and my work. Elizabeth Gilbert, author of Eat, Pray, Love. That's a good point, too. There's this book that I listened to, and I'll have to find the quote exactly and give credit to the person who wrote it next week. But in the book, it talks about, are you reading the books or are you actually doing the books? So if you read a book and it tells you an activity, even like a meditation or, questions on, filling things out, or, how we talk about our death planning. So and even more importantly, me and Steve, my sister-in-law, my brother's wife, is going to get on my ass about getting our wills done and making sure that we do it. So what's one of my top priorities now that I'm back home and not sick is me and Steve having our wills in place, because we don't know when, if and when we know it will happen eventually, but we don't know when it's going to happen. So you need to have those things in place. Anyways, what I'm saying is if you're reading a book and it suggests to do an activity or an exercise or something, are you sitting down or doing whatever it is to do? Are you just flipping through the book and reading through the suggestions, or are you actually working through the book that you're reading? You can read it once and, just read the activities that it tells you to do and exercises that it tells you to do. But to really get the full benefit of any book, you need to read it and do the things they suggest. Try it out and see if it works for your life. There was a good podcast that I listened to. I don't really listen to it anymore because it changed formats because they could only do so many self-help books, but it was called By the Book, a podcast called By the Book. And they would take a self-help book and read it and try to live by that for, I can't remember how many weeks, for each book to see what difference it made in their lives. And so you can look up that, and that was a good good listen to, so by the book. And we have got through an hour, and this is my first hour back since, unfortunately, the passing of my brother. But like I said, he's with my dad, and just like when my dad passed, not everybody gets to have a dad. Not everybody gets to have an amazing dad. And so who am I to be sad about the years that I don't get with my dad? Instead, I have to praise and be grateful for the years that I got with my dad, because he was an amazing person as well. And so the same is true with my brother. Not everybody gets to have a brother, and not everybody gets to have an amazing brother. And not everybody even gets to live till 45. But he did. And in his short life, he did more in his short life than some people will do in their long, long lives. I will also leave you with a quote from him that my little sister is living by and has lived by since he told it to her. When my little sister, we all had our own relationships with him. Like I said, me and him are really close in age, so we were best friends but worst enemies as well. But we always loved each other, just like siblings do, family does. We have a very, very close family. But Tina, our little sister, who is like 5 years younger than me, 4 years younger than him, that was the closest he had to a little brother. He even told my mom when she brought Tina home from the hospital to take her back because he wanted a brother. So bring her back to the hospital. But Tina was the one that would wrestle with him, would play fight and stuff like that. And they just had this really awesome, little bond together, his little sister. And when he decided to move to Saskatchewan, I mean, he was an adult already. He was like 26, and he was moving, 6-hour drive away. So if he was 26, she was 21, like already adults, or 22, I guess. But it still was hard for her to let him go because I was one of her best friends in her life. But, again, she didn't know a life without him. So when he was moving to better his family, he told her that it's not the quantity of time we have, but the quality of time that we have. And she took that to heart. And I didn't know this quote until we were in Canada for the memorial service. So she took that to heart, and she made sure that any time that they got together in the 18 years that he lived in Saskatchewan, that they made the best of it. I am so, so, so grateful that we were able to go back to Canada last summer in 2025. Wait, is it 2025 right now? I mean 2024. And spend that time in Canada and a couple of weeks camping with my brother and his family and all of us together. And we definitely all did that, whether we realized, without the quote, we tried to make the best of all the time that we were together. And it was definitely the quality of the time. I don't have the quantity with my brother that I want to have, but I definitely had the quality. And he's left us with so many amazing memories and experiences and lessons and things to pass on to our kids and the next generation after that and everything else. He will be so missed, but he was amazing and gave us so much. And one of my best favorite memories from camping last summer is on the last day of camping. Me and my siblings, my brother, my two sisters, biological sisters, and my mom were all bobbing in the lake. It was evening, and it was time to get out and go back to the camp for the night. And it was just us 5 heads just bobbing and not wanting to get out because we're just water babies. And just talking about how we grew up at the lake and how it, our families just don't get it, how we want to live in the water and just be there. And that, Dad, even though he was passed, was with us in that moment and everything else. And it's just one of my favorite moments anyways, even before my brother passed, my favorite moment of just us being together, knowing that this, the lake, the water, that there's that bond, this family, that it just, so that's something, one of the things that I'm going to hold on to. And so I leave you with that, okay? With your loved ones, friends, family, anybody that you care about. It's not the quantity of time you have with them or not if they live far away or whatever. It's the quality. So reach out to those that you love, even if it's just a message, a letter, a phone call, a photo. I don't know. Just reach out to the ones that you love and tell them what they mean to you while you're alive. I mean, while you're alive, yeah, but also while they're alive. And it's just really important. All right. I love you guys. And as I'm still alive, I'm going to be here to love you guys, to annoy you guys, and to keep rambling until God decides that this meat suit that I'm in is no longer working for me. So, and then I'll ramble in your minds with telepathy as a spirit, and I will haunt you. That's a promise. I love you guys, and I'll see you guys next week, okay? Take care. Bye.